Morning, everybody. So, I just got done reading a few posts from Old School Trucking about old school drivers, matter of fact. And one of the posts I came upon, and it's been repeated more than once, is there's too much talk of old school drivers repeating the same thing over and over, about being old school. And basically what it boils down to is that the younger drivers, some of them, not all of them, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, don't get pissed, but there's a lot of younger drivers that are tired of hearing about the old school ways. And the question was, what makes an old school driver? And I wrote a post back to the driver that made the post that he's sick and tired of hearing about old school. Get over yourselves. And it got me thinking that I took a look at his profile just to find out how old he was, and he was a younger driver. And I got to thinking that it's easy when you're a young driver to say that, because when you're saying that, you're basically saying, I don't want to listen to that shit about old school because I'm not old school. I'd like to be old school, but I'm not, and therefore I don't want to hear about it. It's kind of like, well, if I can't win, I want a 5th or 6th or 7th place trophy. That's kind of the way the younger generation is, and I'm, again, not pointing fingers at you younger guys, but it's kind of like the thing of respect. I've been told many times by younger drivers that they don't give respect unless it's given to them. And to a certain degree, I'll agree with that. But I was taught when I was younger that you always respect your elders. And when I was growing up and I first started driving many years ago, I respected all my old school drivers back then, and they were old school. And as a young driver, I hung around with mostly older drivers. And I gave them a lot of respect, and I got a lot of respect back. But I never disrespected the drivers the way some of these young guys do today. And I'm not pointing fingers, but this goes a long way if you're listening. How about have the attitude where you don't get respect by, getting it from somebody else? It's not like, well, I'm going to wait for him to give me respect. If you're a younger person, you earn respect. That's the way it's done. You earn it. It's not just given to you like a trophy. We all finished, we all get a trophy. That's not the way it's done in the real world, and that is the main problem with this industry. That's the way most younger drivers think out here today. And if you want to get respect, listen. That's not to say that you have to take a bunch of crap. That's not to say you have to be abused by anybody, whether it's an old driver or a younger driver. There's a lot of old guys out here that just started driving a month ago. A lot of guys are retiring from their jobs and coming out here. That's not what I'm talking about. You understand what I'm saying. Another thing is, when I made the point of saying that these guys that have been out here for years, and I told this younger driver this, and I want you younger drivers to understand this, when they talk about old school, and you younger guys why do they keep bringing that up? What is it? What do they think? It's like some badge of honor, or whatever. Yeah, in a way it kind of is. Because I'll tell you something, for guys that were out on the road and spent their lives out there for 20, 30, 40, some guys even 50 years. I've got almost 40 years now. To those of us that have spent our lives out on the road, we gave up a lot in life doing what we're doing here. And most of us would never look back. I don't. I mean, I've wanted to drive a truck since the time I knew what wheels on a semi were. My father drove, my uncles drove, and that's all I ever wanted to do. But you have to understand that for all those years being out on the road, most of these guys gave up a life that some of you had with your parents. They gave up being home at certain events. They gave up being home at Christmases and Thanksgivings. They just were on the road. And all these years spent on the road, it taught them to form relationships with other truck drivers, whether it was on the CB, whether it was running in a pack of 6 or 7 trucks and talking on the radio, whether it was sitting in a truck stop and having breakfast and just talking to another driver. And all these changes that have come about in the past 20 years, they didn't come about because the old school driver ruined the industry. That's a misconception, and you young guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. I see that on just like this particular page that I was just on. The one guy said, you old school drivers ruined it for us because you run 2 logs, and I'm so tired of hearing that crap. That's not the way it was. The industry changed because the government wanted it to change, and the government has instituted the change, and that's why it's taking place. And there's nothing any of us are going to do about it now. But you young guys need to be aware of that, and you need to take notice that that's why it's changing. And there's a lot of other changes coming down the pike. And some of these changes are happening now where you younger guys aren't even going to know they're happening. And that's exactly what the government wants. They want you to be compliant, to not argue, to not, put up a fight. Just go along with the change. There used to be somewhat of a resistance in this industry, but anymore, nobody says anything. You young guys, you just go down the road and do what you're told, whether it's by the company or by the government. And you're regulated to the point where this isn't a job where, I'll tell you what, if I knew what this job was like 20, 30 years ago, I wouldn't do it. It's not a lifestyle anymore. It is just that. It's just a job. You might as well be working in an office. And if you'll notice, what they've done is they've separated and segregated us now to the point where we're just out here and we exist. We go down the road. There's days, I don't know about a lot of you, but there's times I can go down the road for a week and never have a conversation with another human being other than going in and getting a fuel receipt or a coffee and saying hi to the person behind the counter with my mask on. There's no human contact anymore. And that's exactly what they want. You think this is all done by accident. And it isn't. It's been planned for years and years and years. And that brings me to my next point. And I know I'm going to catch a lot of shit for this, but it's just like the masks. The masks we're wearing. They're having us wear these masks, and I know some of you are so into the masks, you wear them while you're going down the damn road. I see guys driving down the road in their trucks with these fucking masks on. It's like, what the hell, man? I'm sorry, I ain't going down that path. You could call me names, and I'm sure I'm going to get some hateful comments, but I don't wear the mask. I come up with every kind of thing I can do, imaginary. I'll go into some place and they'll ask me where my mask is, and I'll tell them I can't wear a mask. I got urinary tract infection. And it just leaves them puzzled long enough. I'll just continue on my business. I got spinal bifida, can't wear it. But these masks, this is what it's doing. It's creating the exact same thing with the American public. And pretty soon we're all going to be just like the American truck driver. We're all going to be where we don't have conversations with another one because we can't see one another. So, in short, that's my bitch. I think we need to take notice of what's going on in this country, not just with the masks, but being on the road. Pay attention to your surroundings. Things are going to happen here shortly. It's going to get a little dangerous to be on the road. I got a few more years left to be out here, but it ain't looking promising. I wish I could get the hell out, I'll tell you that. Stay safe, drivers. Adios.